What's quack-a-lackin', everybody? This week we are chasing ghosts through history. We are hot on the trail of Chief White Lodge and his particular band of Santee Sioux. And that chase has led us from Sioux Falls, South Dakota to right here in Lake Benton, Minnesota. Check it out. So welcome to Lake Benton, Minnesota. Population 800. Imagine living in a town this size. This building behind me is the Lake Benton Heritage Center. It was established in 1879, the same year that this town was formed. But this area was actually first documented by Nicollet and Fremont in 1838. And then in 1851, the U.S. government signed a treaty with the local indigenous Sioux to transfer ownership of this land to the United States government. And this town of Lake Benton was formed in 1879. The first group of settlers to come to this area found life to be incredibly difficult. There were blizzards during the winter. They suffered crop failures, insect plagues. You name it, whatever the landscape could throw at them, they suffered it, and they eventually left. But in the 1860s, a new group of people started coming into the area who were from Iceland and Norway and Denmark and places where wintertime was just a part of life that they were used to. So they found this area to be tolerable, and they really established the first foothold in this area in the early 1860s. So I know you're wondering, Quackers, what are we doing in this random small town in Minnesota? And there's a few different reasons. First and foremost is just why not? I absolutely love small town America, and this place has only 800 people living here. I've never seen Lake Benton. I bet you've never seen Lake Benton, so why not come check it out? The second reason ties back to last week's video. If you watched last week, we went to the Japanese gardens at Terrace Park, and there was a historical marker there that made mention of a band of Santee Sioux who lived in the Lake Benton area in the early 1860s. And this band of Santee Sioux was led by a man named White Lodge, and they were instrumental in a war that happened between the settlers and the indigenous people. And so I wanted to come to Lake Benton to see if I could find some type of a historical marker that tells a little bit more of that story. But then there is a third reason, a personal reason. I've been wanting to come to this town since I found out about it last year. And after a whole year of waiting, I'm finally coming here. And the reason why I really wanted to come to this town before I ever even saw what it looked like was because there is a correlation between Lake Benton, Minnesota and my hometown. Took a quick walk just up the hill from downtown. I thought it'd be nice to see what a typical residential neighborhood looks like in Lake Benton. Look at this retaining wall. I don't think this was the original home on the property, but this retaining wall is clearly from the 19th century. Anyway, back to my hometown. I always considered that I had two hometowns. When I was 14 years old, my parents bought a small farm in the town of Malvern, Arkansas, and we moved there. So from the age of 14 on, that was my hometown. But before that, my first hometown all the way up until age 14 was the town of Benton, Arkansas. So you can already begin to see the correlation between Lake Benton, Minnesota and Benton, Arkansas. Lake Benton, Minnesota is named after the lake. There is a very huge, enormous glacial lake here that we're about to go take a look at. And the lake is named Lake Benton, and so this town is named after that lake. But that lake is actually named after a man, Senator Thomas Benton from Missouri, who was one of the largest political figures of the late 19th century. This is a very beautiful home. I wonder what year it was constructed. But anyway, the Lake Benton was named after Senator Benton because he was a very vocal proponent of westward expansion across the continental United States. He was one of the men that really made that happen. He was a driving force behind it. And so there are a number of places throughout the United States who are named after him for that very reason. And that's certainly the case with Lake Benton here, and then through the lake, the town of Lake Benton. But that's not the reason why my hometown was named after this man. So not only was Senator Benton a very vocal supporter of westward expansion, but he was also a very strong advocate of the territory of Arkansas receiving statehood and becoming a state. And I don't know that that would have happened, at least not at the time that it did, without his endorsements. So when Arkansas gained statehood in 1836, my hometown of Benton, Arkansas, which was only 3 years old at the time, named themselves after Senator Benton. So there is that connection between my hometown and this town of Lake Benton, Minnesota. So ever since I discovered that this town existed last year, I've really wanted to come here and check it out. And I'm glad that I did, because everything is absolutely beautiful. So now we need the second agenda. We need to find a piece of the puzzle related to Chief White Lodge and his band of Santee Sioux, because they were really the ones that started that war in the early 1860s that resulted in the citizens of Sioux Falls being evacuated. So I want to see if we can find another piece of that puzzle and get a little bit more of the story. And I'm kind of going blind here. I'm just walking the area. Thankfully, it is a small town of 800 people, so everything is within walking distance. That's one of the beautiful things about these places. So I'm walking the town. There are a couple of significant places in the history of this town that I want to share with you while I'm out. And then we're going to move on and look at this lake, because it is an absolutely enormous glacial lake, and I want to share it with you. I see a number of just beautiful old Victorian homes in this town. Imagine living in a house like that in a town of only 800 people, and this is your view across the street. That'd be absolutely beautiful. Anyway, there's one particular house that I want to show you, so let's move on and get a look at it. Now, on the far side of that little park area, along Fremont Street, is what is known as the Ernest Osbeck House. This is a very historic Queen Anne home constructed in 1896. A couple of things that tell you this is a Queen Anne design. If you were on the inside, you would see that it had an irregular floor plan. But the main things are it has a multi-gable roof, and on the corner you can see this octagonal, however you say it, this corner tower with the witch's cap on top. And as I've said during the Pettigrew House video, anytime you see that, you know that it is a Queen Anne home. Now, what makes this house so special is not necessarily the house itself, but the man who built it. This house was constructed by a man named Ernest Osbeck, who came to Lake Benton as the town's very first grocer. Could you imagine what a big deal that was? Because before Mr. Osbeck came to town, if you wanted to eat, you had to rely on what you grew yourself, what you could forage, and what you could hunt or fish. And that was your only sources of food. So having a grocer come to town was a really big deal. Loud motorcycle. Give him a second to get by. So having a grocer in town was a really big deal, and it made him a very influential person in this community, and that was a responsibility that he didn't take lightly. He became involved in a number of things in Lake Benton. He helped form the Co-op Creamery, which I presume must have made ice cream. He helped to form the local Grain Elevator Association, which in an area that had a rapidly growing and expanding agricultural base in the area, this was a huge development. But what I like the most is that he helped form the Lake Benton Opera House, which is just right around the corner from where he lived. Let's go check it out. So this building is the Lake Benton Opera House. It was constructed in 1896, and it was a community-funded co-op that was led in part by Mr. Osbeck. This building was it was constructed to meet the social needs of the early community. They wanted a place where they could attract premium entertainment, host civic events, and really just have sort of a cultural heartbeat of the community. Now, this building is incredibly beautiful and historic looking on the outside. Unfortunately, it's closed today. I would love to see the inside because I have seen the inside of this building, the ambiance, described as being a historic gem. And I love places that make you feel like you've been transported back in time. So I really want to come back one day and see the inside of this building because this opera house is still in operation today in 2026. It does community performances that are casted by members of the local community, and they put these performances on for people in their local community. And this is something that at one time every town in America did this, but most of America has moved away from that and kind of even forgotten that it was ever once a thing. So it's really nice to see those traditions are still alive and well right here in Lake Benton, Minnesota. And I would love to come back one day and catch a performance here at the Opera House. Now that we've gotten this glimpse of this historic Lake Benton Opera House, let's move on and get a look at the lake itself. It's a 2,600 acre glacial lake. I've heard that it's absolutely stunning and I can't wait to get a look at it. Let's go check it out. So as you can tell, we have transitioned from downtown Lake Benton to Lake Benton, for which the town is named. More specifically, we are at Norwegian Creek Park. This is a 140 acre park just outside of town. There are 92 campsites here. There's a swimming area. It's a popular place for boating and fishing. And this is the primary access point for people who want to come here and enjoy this lake during the summer. So I thought we should take a look around and see what it's like. Now, we are in the second week of June right now, and the weather is absolutely beautiful. The birds are singing, and there are many empty camp spots available here at Norwegian Creek Park. So if you're looking for a place to get away, make a day trip out, enjoy some nature in a new environment that you don't normally see, I would highly recommend making a trip here to Lake Benton. It's only a 1 hour drive from Sioux Falls, and the drive is absolutely beautiful. The wildlife here is beautiful, and the people in town have been absolutely incredible. So in fact, while I was walking around downtown filming myself, whereas normally I have people looking at me wondering what I'm doing, I had probably 4 or 5 cars that waved at me as they drove by, and it really took me back to where I grew up, which again comes back to that correlation between Lake Benton and my hometown of Benton, Arkansas. So, and on that note, I will add that we are very lazy with our language in the South, so we never pronounced it Benton, Arkansas. We always said Benton. I'm from Benton, so I may periodically throughout this video just slip up out of habit, and instead of saying Lake Benton, I might say Lake Benton. I mean no harm if I do, just please excuse me. It's just the Southerner in me. Thought I would just take you on a little walk through here. I've just passed the first campsite and I can see that there is a second one bunny running across the road. I've seen so many rabbits just in the short time I've been here at this park. I would say probably about 20 of them, but they are not like the rabbits in Sioux Falls. The rabbits in Sioux Falls are very accustomed to people, and so you can get very close to them, take photographs of them, etc. These rabbits are very wild and they get scared and run immediately upon sight. So even though I've seen a large number of them, I have not been able to photograph any. But anyway, I'm taking a little walk through here. I can see that there is a second campground coming up. I don't expect to find a historical marker here. I spent about 2 hours walking through all of downtown Lake Benton, residential neighborhoods and business district. Didn't see a single historical marker of any kind, unfortunately. Not only was there no marker relating to Chief White Lodge, but there was no marker of any kind, at least not that I saw. So if you were from the Lake Benton area and you want to tell me I'm wrong, please let me know where these markers are at, and I'll be happy to make another trip back up to check it out. But so far I'm coming up short. But the thing is, Chief White Lodge did not live in the town of Lake Benton. There was another rabbit in the distance. He did not live in the town of Lake Benton, but he did live along the banks of Lake Benton. So I thought I'd take a little walk along the lake, and even though there's virtually no chance of finding a historical marker out here, I don't know unless I look, right? So I'm here at the lake. I'm enjoying a beautiful walk. The humidity has actually died down here at the lake, and the temperature, it feels so much cooler. It's really nice weather. It's a really nice day to be outside. And so I'm just going to enjoy the lake, and I'll share a little with you as we go along. Now, this would be a good time to interject with a random shout out, because there's one I've been really meaning to put out there the last couple of weeks, and I keep forgetting because I just get so involved in storytelling, and I'm not really doing storytelling today, so it's staying on my mind. But I want to make sure I don't forget to give a shout out to Dashing Nicky Boy. Please make sure you check this guy out. He shows up all the time in my comments, and he's so supportive and encouraging, and that means a lot to me because he's a much larger channel than I am, for one thing. But I really like watching this guy's channel, so it means a lot to me that he comes up and leaves a comment for me. Dashing Nicky Boy, his channel is clearly geared more towards people who are door dashers, or for people who are wanting to get involved in door dashing. But I've never door dashed. I probably never will DoorDash. I've never ordered DoorDash or even had the app on my phone, but I still find his channel to be incredibly entertaining. His edits are great. The energy is on point, and he's just an incredibly funny guy. He's up driving around on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. So make sure you check him out. Watch the rest of this video first, because the algorithm loves that sort of thing. But after you finish watching this video, tap that microphone up in the top of the app, open the search bar, type in Dashing Nicky Boy. You're not even gonna have to type the whole thing. It's gonna autofill it for you before you even get finished. So go check this guy out. Hit subscribe for him while you're there. He absolutely deserves it. And while I'm on that subject, tap the subscribe button for me too. I just passed 200. I'm trying so hard to get to 250, and it would mean a lot to me if you would help me get there. So having said all that, thank you, Nick. I really appreciate you. Much love to you, brother. I really appreciate the support. And having said that, we're just gonna move back on to the lake. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about this lake real quick. I had mentioned that this is a 2,600 acre glacial lake. It's actually pushing up close to 2,700 acres. This lake lies in the middle of two of America's greatest watersheds, the Missouri River and the Mississippi River. So when the glacier receded, it left this lake behind, almost 2,700 acres. It's so phenomenally huge. And I want you to take a guess. How deep do you think Lake Benton is? Don't cheat, don't use Google, don't ask AI. Just pop a random guess down in the comments if you were brave enough, and I'll come back in a couple of minutes and I'll tell you just how deep this lake is. I think the answer is going to surprise you. We've spent a little bit of time now. I've been out here for about an hour walking around Norwegian Creek Park. No sign of a historical marker in sight. And I didn't really expect there to be one. I just kind of wanted to see the lake. I can't drive all the way to Lake Benton without seeing Lake Benton. So I wanted to see the lake, and I've done that. Still no clues as to Chief White Lodge. I think that mystery is about to come to an end, but we're not out of hope yet. There's a couple more places to check out, and the next one we're going to go to is also on the lake, because remember, White Lodge and his band of Santee Sioux lived on the lake. So if there's going to be a marker somewhere, it'll probably be on the lake, and it will be in a place where people are able to find it and see it. It's not going to just be out in the wilderness somewhere, right? So the next place to check out is a place called Picnic Point. And Picnic Point is unique because it is It is on sort of a peninsula that juts out into the lake. And so I would imagine you have really stunning views of the lake there. So I want to go check out Picnic Point, and I'll share that with you guys. And we'll see. I'm still holding out hope. We might get lucky. We might find out more about White Lodge. But even if not, this has been a fantastic day. We're getting to see a new area, and I always enjoy that. And as I said, I am a fan of small town America. I really am. There's a stork flying overhead. Wish I had the camera pointed the other way. There was a stork flying overhead, or a heron, or a crane, or something. I'm not entirely sure what it was. But yeah, I'm having a good day. I hope you guys are enjoying the views, and we're going to move on next to Picnic Point and check that out. If you're looking for some sipping, grilling, and chilling, I think I found the spot. Before I go any further, I have to tell you about how deep this lake is, otherwise I'll forget. I don't know if anyone took a guess, but if you did and you guessed that the absolute deepest part of this lake is 9 feet, we have a winner. There are pockets within Lake Benton where the water gets to be as deep as 9 feet. But the overwhelming majority of this 2,600 acre lake, almost the entire thing, you could just walk around in it without ever getting in water over your head. I find that amazing that for a lake this size, that the water is just that shallow. So if you guessed 9 feet, good job. I would have assumed that it's much deeper just from looking at it. And I want to just quickly show you this vantage point. Check it out. Now, Picnic Point is just a little bit further away from the town of Lake Benton. Lake Benton is right here. Town of Lake Benton is a little bit further away. The Norwegian Creek Park is right outside of town. To get here to Picnic Point, I had to drive about another 13 miles through this just beautiful rural Minnesota countryside. Farmland as far as you can see on both sides. The last drive of the mile here was on a gravel road, just completely rural community, beautiful to look at, my kind of setting. And there is camping available here at Picnic Point, but it's not really utilized. The place is wide open. Whereas there was about 36 people, I would estimate, camping at Norwegian Creek. Here at Picnic Point, there's only one person camping today, so that's a huge difference. 99% of the camp spaces are empty. So if you're someone who is looking for a more private, quiet, isolated retreat, come here to Picnic Point. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful, and you'll have the whole place all to yourself. So why not? If you're looking for a place to get away where it's quiet and you don't have anyone bothering you, Picnic Point is where it's at. This place has everything that you need to entertain yourself for the weekend. There's a playground for the kids. There's volleyball. There's basketball. There's a place to put your boat in the water if you want to do some fishing. So it really has everything that you need, but what it does not have, as expected though, is a historical marker. I've gone through this whole day, started out in the town of Lake Benton, went to Norwegian Creek, and then ended up here at Picnic Point. And I haven't seen a historical marker all day. I have seen probably 50 rabbits though, so hey, that's always a win. But no historical marker, but I did get a couple of leads while I was here. Believe it or not, I did get some leads. There are two places still to check out. One is that there is a cemetery in Lake Benton that I found out has burial mounds going back 10,000 years. And so if there's any place that will have a marker related to indigenous people, that would be it, right? But the second thing is that there is another park here called Hole in the Mountain, which is a natural pass through the Buffalo Ridge, and it's a very historic place. And somewhere within the Hole in the Mountain Park, there is what is known as the Snyder Cabin, which is an authentic pioneer cabin from 1860, which puts that cabin in the area at the same time as White Lodge. So while there's very little chance of finding a marker there either, but if I can find this cabin, at least I will have a glimpse, right? I'll have a glimpse into the time period. So that at least gives me a reason to come back here to Lake Benton, and I've really enjoyed my day here today. The lake is absolutely gorgeous. The people are amazing. As I said, I had 4 or 5 strangers just randomly wave at me as they drove by, and that's always nice to see. The whole area is absolutely beautiful. It's well worth coming to see, and I look forward to coming to see it again. So now that I have a reason to. But we probably won't do that anytime soon because I have a lot of other places to show. And speaking of which, next week's video, Chauncey had chimed in the comments I believe in my Terrace Park video where we went to the Japanese gardens, and he asked to see either the Cathedral Historic District or the McKinnon Historic District. And I've been planning on making videos for both of these locations anyway, and I firmly believe in giving people what they ask for. So next week, we're going to go take a tour of the Cathedral Historic District. I'm going to show you all of the main fancy houses. I'm going to tell you a little bit about each one of them. And if I should see any homes that are either for sale or for rent in that neighborhood, I'll make sure to give you a glimpse of those as well, because I know sometimes people hit my videos because they're thinking of moving to the Sioux Falls area. So that will be next week. I really want to go check out these other 2 places, but we're getting really close to sunset now. So I've run out of time for today, but there will be one day in the future when we will come back and check out those burial mounds and see if we can find the Snyder Cabin. But until then, next week, Cathedral Historic District. I look forward to seeing you next Wednesday at 1. Until then, thank you so much for watching. It means everything to me. I love you guys. Quackers out.